Hey, it's James here from Guitarist.com and welcome back to 30 Days of Guitar. Today it's day 2. Yesterday we learned how to hold the guitar, how to tune it, all the essential stuff that you have to do before you can play. And then we learned our first 2 chord shapes and we sang Horse with No Name by America. If you haven't already done that, please check that out. And today we're going to pick up where we left off and work on the strumming aspect of things. We already took care of the chords. Let's take care of that strumming. First thing I want to talk about is a pick. I highly recommend using a pick when you get started. You're welcome to do it with your fingers, but there's just so many variables because your hand is such a complicated thing. A pick is just a single piece of plastic that contacts the guitar and it just simplifies the whole thing. I recommend using a thinner pick. I use these like Dunlop Tortex ones. They have a turtle on the front of them. And the 0.5 millimeter one, it's like a red colored one. That's ideal for when you're first getting started. It's very forgiving and it's going to help you get a really nice smooth sound without much effort on your part. We need to learn how to hold our pick. And I like to start by just letting my fingers curl naturally. It takes effort to keep them straight. Just let them curl, bring them in a little bit more until your thumb and your finger can come together like that. My thumb joint hit there, that part right there, is kind of resting on the side of my index finger. And the rest of my fingers, I can keep them curled so that they stay out of the way and they don't, rub the strings while I'm strumming. Then I'll just take my pick, and you want the pointy part, the bottom there, to stick out sideways from your thumb and finger like that. And how much or how little sticks out, you're just going to have to experiment. If too much is sticking out, you're not going to have any control and your pick will kind of just fly out of your fingers. If there's not enough sticking out, your fingers are going to rub the strings. So, I like to have, let's say, 0.5 centimeter, 1/4 of an inch sticking out. And then we just want to graze the strings. Notice my pick angles when I do that. And I want to make sure that I have a light grip. If you're gripping too tight, it just sounds really abrasive, right? So we want to have a nice light grip. And you also want to make sure that you make a nice big motion. If you go too slow, you hear every string individually. So we want a nice fluid motion, nice and smooth. Remember, our pick is angled. It's kind of like, you can think of your pick like a paintbrush, and you're just brushing the strings gently. And in order to practice this, first I want you to just do it a whole bunch on the open strings. And once you feel like it's pretty good, you can add some counting. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just counting up to 4 over and over again. It's like a muscle memory thing, like in your brain, like the whole counting thing and getting used to counting up to 4 over and over again. That's the foundation of like 99% of music. You count to 4 over and over, and we want to get really used to that in these very early stages of guitar. And then from there, we can add those chord shapes that we learned yesterday. So we can play an E minor chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, just strumming it over and over again. We can do the same thing with our D6 add 9 chord or D6 9 chord. Just focusing on how it sounds and how it feels. We already practiced the chord shape yesterday, but it's not going to be perfect. You can still make adjustments in that regard too. But we are today focusing on the strumming. So give yourself a bit of a break if the chord shapes aren't 100% perfect, right? I wouldn't expect them to be on your second day of playing guitar. Anyways, what we can do, the ultimate thing that I want to reach today, is to play that chord switching game that we started yesterday, where we go 1, switch, 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 1, switch, switch, switch. But today we're going to focus on it from a strumming perspective. For the first round of the chord switching game, we strum on beat 1, and then as we're switching, I want you to still make small motions with your hand. We're using our hand like a built-in metronome, and this is going to be pivotal. There are people who play guitar for years and they wonder, how come it doesn't sound like the song? How come I can't feel the beat? This is where we begin that journey. So we go 1, switch, 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 and we keep that arm moving, making little downstrokes in the air as we switch. And then we go 1, switch, switch, switch. 1, switch, switch, switch. 1, switch, switch, switch. This is going to make us rhythmic people. That's going to make the difference, and it's going to be what makes you sound like the song. So please take your time with that step. From there, we move on to the second round of the chord switching game, where we're going to strum on beat 1 and beat 2, and then we switch on beats 3 and 4. So more time strumming and less time switching. We go 1, 2, switch, switch. 1, 2, switch, back. 1, 2, switch, switch. 1, 2, switch, back. 1, 2, switch, switch. 1, 2, switch, back. And once again, you take your time with that. I'm going through this all for the sake of this lesson, just one after the next, but you're going to take your time with that step, and make sure that you spend a lot of time doing it till you're comfortable. Then we move on to the third round, where we strum on 1, 2, 3, and we switch on beat 4. So we only have one beat to switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, switch. 1, 2, 3, switch. 1. And you're going to be practicing all this today after this lesson, so don't worry if it's hitting a point where it's too quick for you. Finally, though, once you have practiced all that, we're going to strum on every beat, and we're going to switch in that time between 4 and the next beat 1. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, switch. 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 1. And normally when I do this with students, I'll show them this whole thing, all 4 rounds of the chord switching game, where you only strum on beat 1, then when you strum on beats 1 and 2, and so on. And nobody gets through the whole thing on their first day. I actually want to hear your experience, just over the last 5 minutes with me. How far could you get, round 1, 2, 3, or 4? Because I'm genuinely curious, for an average, because I know that with my students, they take that home, they come back next week after practicing that, and then they'll have it together, right? So I just want to know, what the average good guitarist out there on YouTube is doing with this exercise. Either way, though, when you go practice this today or tonight even, I'm just going to lay it out for you. First, you should do some silent switching and just go between those two shapes. Pay attention to your posture, making sure the guitar is in a good spot, that, everything's comfortable, and you focus on silent switching. And then do some strumming on the open strings and focus on getting a nice, soft sound. You don't want to be gripping the pick too hard. Make sure that it's nice and smooth, and just take your time with that stuff. Then go through the chord switching game, starting at round 1, switch, 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 and round 2, 3, and 4. And that's how I would lay out my practice tonight. Finally, let's have a little bit of fun. Let's apply what we learned today to the same song as yesterday, Horse with No Name. We're going to do it with 4 downstrokes this time, so it's like chord switching game round 4. Let's give it a shot. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to get out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for to give you no pain. La 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 focusing more on the singing than on the actual playing there. So yeah, that's all that I wanted to cover for today. I want you to really focus on getting a smooth strumming sound, holding your pick correctly and all that. Tomorrow, we're going to play Horse with No Name, like with a strumming pattern. And, tomorrow it's going to be the song. Yesterday and today was just preparing our chord hand and our strumming hand. And tomorrow we're going to put that all together. If you haven't already done so, please take a moment to subscribe, like the video, hit the bell icon. That way you'll be notified when that lesson comes out tomorrow. And if you haven't already subscribed and downloaded my free ebook, I sincerely appreciate all of your support. I have my complete beginner's course if you'd like to do what we're doing, but, really go in depth on every single thing. I am limited in how far I can go, even in 30 days of lessons, right? And that course has everything. It's been, thousands of students have taken it and they've loved it. So please check that out if you'd like to help support the channel even further. Otherwise, have a fun time practicing and I'll see you tomorrow.